Big news out of Alberta. That province's leading independent school, called the Weber Academy, was just ordered by the province's so-called Human Rights Commission to pay $26,000 to the family of 2 Muslim students who wanted to pray in that non-denominational school and were told, sorry, it is a non-denominational school. Let me give you some background. Weber Academy, outstanding school. About a decade ago, in full disclosure, my sister was a teacher there. She no longer is. But I know about the school. It's famous in Alberta. Neil Weber, who founded the academy, is a former education minister. It is the tops or near the tops every year on the standardized exams. Great school. Open to many different ethnicities, open to everyone. Of course, Muslims, Jews, Sikhs, Hindus, Christians, atheists, whatever. They're actually very multicultural, and they even teach languages like Chinese, so they're very open-minded. To keep themselves so open-minded and so tolerant of others, they have a non-denominational rule, which is no prayer, no religious events at the school. It's just not that kind of place. It's a rule they have for everyone. You're there to learn academics. Well, that didn't sit well with the family of 2 Muslim students who insisted that they be allowed to pray Muslim prayers in public on school property. They were told very politely, sorry, we do not allow prayers from any faith on school. If you want to go to a Muslim school, there are plenty of those in Alberta. If you want to go to a mosque, there are plenty of those in Alberta. This is not a Muslim school. This is not a mosque. Instead of moving their children to a Muslim school, instead of going to a mosque, instead of trying to persuade the Weber Academy to change itself, and of course, why would Weber Academy, the best school in the province, change itself? Instead of that, they ran to the government and cried discrimination. Isn't that ironic? For being treated exactly the same way as everyone else, they cried discrimination. And the Human Rights Commission, being a counterfeit court without the regular rules of law that we have in our real courts, invented the counterfeit human right not to be offended, sided with the troublemaking students, and demanded that the Weber Academy pay them $26,000 for their pain and suffering. Pay them money because they were discriminated against by being told they had to be like all the other kids, non-religious. Now, the Weber Academy has said they'll appeal. I think they might win. I don't know, but I know this. They will lose financially. They've already lost not only the $26,000 in fines, but probably an equal amount or more in legal fees. The process is the punishment. And of course, the Muslim families that caused the trouble don't have to pay a cent because the prosecution was done by taxpayers' money. Again, there is no so-called human right to compel an independent school to give you a little mosque. That is not a real human right. That is a counterfeit human right that the government is using as a sword, not a shield to protect you. I should note that this comes in the news the same time as the Supreme Court of Canada just issued a ruling compelling the town of Saguenay, Quebec, to stop saying the Lord's Prayer or any other Christian indications before they start their town hall meetings. They have been saying a quick Christian prayer in that town for centuries. In fact, of course, Quebec was a very Christian province going back to being New France. The Christian nature of Quebec was so essential to that province that it is welded right into our Constitution. If you look at the Constitution Act of 1867, there is no separation of church and state in Canada. In fact, the Catholic Church is welded into our Constitution, especially with regards to schools. So let's just look what's happening in Canada in 2015. A Catholic community that has been Catholic for centuries in Quebec is ordered by our court not to even mutter or utter a prayer. And yet 2 Muslim students who come into an officially non-denominational school have the government forcing their prayers into this school. It is a disgrace. It is not freedom of religion. They have their freedom of religion. They can go anywhere they want, but they are imposing it on a school that is deliberately religion-free. I think I know what the so-called Human Rights Commission of Alberta wants. They want the ideal situation that we have here in Toronto at the Valley Park Middle School. You see, every Friday, the Valley Park Middle School, a public school funded by taxpayers' dollars, turns their cafeteria into a mosque and hands control over to a local imam. They have Muslim prayers in a government institution, and as you can see in this picture, it's segregated by gender. The boys in the front, naturally, they're superior to girls in radical Islam. The girls are in second place, and there's actually a third tier at the far back. That's for girls having their period. See, they're considered unclean in radical Islam. This three-tiered gender segregation in a Muslim mosque in a government-financed public school in Toronto, that's the future if these human rights commissions continue on their path. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.